From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. A 15-year-old accused of being part of 5 family members who tortured and killed a 12-year-old West Yellowstone boy back in February admitted his guilt today as part of a plea bargain. In return, the judge will not charge James Sasser III as an adult for his part in the homicide of James Alexander Hurley, who was Sasser's nephew. Hurley's grandmother, Patricia Batts, and grandfather, James Sasser Jr., are charged with felony deliberate homicide in the case. His 18-year-old aunt, Madison Sasser, is also charged. The judge ordered Sasser to stay in juvenile detention until he's 18 years old, remain on probation until he's 21, and undergo mental health counseling. Well, this weekend, nearly 50 elk were killed after a group of nearly 100 hunters shot into that herd. According to FWP, violations were given out, but many people seem to be more upset about the incident itself than the legal matter. MTN's Alexia Guayo has the story.
There's a lot of people that don't like hunting in general, and what does this say for the people that enjoy this? It's giving us a bad name, and it's giving ammunition for those people that want to restrict hunting rights.
The Montana hunting community is not only shocked, but angry to learn fellow hunters surrounded a herd of elk, shooting consistently, killing 50 of them.
Shame on them.
Fish, Wildlife, and Parks says the incident occurred on Sunday in White Sulphur Springs in a block management area. 6 violations were given out, including shooting from a road and not having an updated hunting license. But FWP says all was legal, just not so ethical.
Unethical actions by hunters in a circumstance like this gives hunting as a activity a real black eye.
Other hunters vented their frustration after learning about the incident.
And they don't see, the value in an ecosystem. They don't see the value in the beauty of what our earth has to offer. And, we need to be on top of it. And if we see people who are doing that, they need to be punished, and they need to know that this can't happen.
Among those frustrated is Bill Galt. His brother owns the land where the incident took place. Bill says himself and his brother are disgusted by the incident.
Truthfully, you really want to just go vomit when you hear it. I mean, it makes you sick to your stomach. And I think the community in general is that way. It's just like somebody punched you in the belly when you see that happening or hear about that happening.
Of the 50 elk that were killed, 1 was found unclaimed and 2 were confiscated for violations. In White Sulphur Springs, I'm Alexia Guayo, MTN News.
Those 3 elk just mentioned were donated to the food bank. The Galt brothers say they're still deciding whether to keep their block management areas. With just 5 days to go before the election, Montana's Republicans continuing a final push today with another big-name guest.
Welcome to the great state of Montana, my great friend, Ted Cruz.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz joined Senator Steve Daines, Representative Greg Gianforte, and other GOP nominees at a Daines campaign event this morning at the Billings Hotel and Convention Center. Cruz is the latest high-profile Republican to come to Montana this week. Florida Senator Marco Rubio headlined a rally in Great Falls Tuesday, while Donald Trump Jr. is expected in Kalispell this weekend. Their presence shows just how much the GOP believes is at stake in the Treasure State Senate race.
Montana is critical. It is a battleground for the whole country. This Senate race, Steve Daines' Senate race, could easily decide control of the United States Senate. And our country is in a battle fundamentally for the direction we're going.
How Montana votes and how this election turns out in Montana will decide the future of the United States Senate, which will decide the future of the United States Supreme Court. That's why it's so important. There's one message to Montanans: get out and exercise your right to vote. Montana's been hearing from politicians now for far too long. They get to express their voice, and I urge my fellow Montanans to get out and vote.
Cruz and Daines left from here to head to Hamilton, where they attended an event in the Bitterroot Valley tonight. Yesterday's Mountain States poll conducted by MSU Billings had Governor Steve Bullock leading Daines by 1 percentage point. Well, 5 days before the election, Yellowstone County about to break a record turnout for voting. As of this afternoon, 69,972 ballots had been checked in. The record, if you're wondering, is just shy of 72,000. Elections Administrator Brett Rutherford tells Q2 he expects this election will easily surpass that. Statewide, just over 467,000 ballots. More than 71% of those sent out have already been returned. At this point, you should hand deliver your ballot to make sure that it gets counted. And if you haven't registered to vote, you can still do so by going in person to your county elections office, even on Elections Day. Here in Yellowstone County, you can only do that at the Montana Pavilion at Metro Park. Well, on the campaign trail, President Trump and Joe Biden kept their eyes on the prize in Florida, leading rallies just hours apart in Tampa. At stake there, Florida's 29 electoral votes out of the 270 needed to win the White House. Skylar Henry has more.
Both presidential candidates held dueling rallies in the Sunshine State.
You hold the key. If Florida goes blue, it's over. It's over.
5 days from now, we are going to win Florida. We are going to win 4 more years in the White House.
Campaigning Thursday on Florida's east and west coasts, Democratic nominee Joe Biden kept pressing his message, criticizing President Trump's coronavirus response.
President Trump's super spreader events that he's spreading more virus around the country, and here in Florida today, he's spreading division in addition.
The president regularly says the nation is rounding the curve on COVID-19, despite new flare-ups around the U.S.
We're never going to lock down again. We locked down, we understood the disease, and now we're open for business.
The candidates also clashed over the economy, which President Trump has touted as one of his strengths.
When Barack and I left office, we left Donald Trump a strong economy, stronger than the one he handled. And just like everything else he inherited, he blew it.
You will have a crippling depression, the likes of which you've never seen, if Sleepy Joe becomes your president.
Nationwide, President Trump and Joe Biden are fighting for the dwindling number of voters who haven't yet cast ballots. So far, more than 80 million Americans have already voted early across the country. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
President Trump was set to visit North Carolina, also a battleground state, tonight, but strong winds from Tropical Storm Zeta forced that outdoor event to be postponed. Northwestern Energy and Puget Sound Energy are terminating their proposed sale of Colstrip Unit 4. Under that deal, Northwestern would have paid $1 to take over operating costs from Puget Sound Energy, which owns about 25% of the Colstrip power plant. The decision comes after it became obvious that regulators in Washington state were not going to approve the sale. Puget Sound provides power to about 1 million customers in western Washington and is under a state mandate to have coal-free energy supplied by 2025. Northwestern owns about 35% of Colstrip and is seeking to increase its share from the plant's 5 other owners to increase its capacity, especially during peak use. Both companies expressed disappointment. Northwestern Energy calls the development, quote, a huge loss for Montana and for our customers. All right, turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. Bob, fall is back in the air, and that means leaves are going to be a problem, not only just to pick up, but they get things pretty slick on the roads.
It's really slick on the roadways. What we did, we found a factoid, and it shows 3 different cars, 3 different roadways. One is a dry roadway, one is a wet roadway, and one has got wet leaves on the roadway. They're all going at 40 miles per hour, right? So let's just go ahead and tell them to stop, right? Hit the stop button there, boys, and there you go, stop. So watch what happens. The dry one, that stops first after about 80 feet. The wet roadway, that stops at about 160 feet. But the one with the wet leaves, that doesn't stop till 250 feet later because those icy and wet leaves are just really very, very slick. They got water on them, and it's the same thing with grass on with motorcycles and roadways. It's very slick. You got to be careful once those leaves start falling, and they are going to start falling for the next several days. So please be careful, especially on tree-lined streets where the leaves are starting to fall. Back to you, Russ.
Thank you, Bob. 2 days until Halloween, and even with parties and trick-or-treating shut down because of COVID, many have been preparing to celebrate anyway. With many normal festivities canceled, the Spirit Halloween shop has been busy selling costumes. Lines backed up into the middle of the store, and the parking lot was packed today. A lot of traditional Halloween disguises have sold well, along with some newly popular costumes. The owner says many dress up for the office and others for smaller parties.
It's become a real party holiday, and that's, a lot of our sales are to like younger adults because they go to a lot of parties or bars or whatever. So it's become a very big party holiday. If you look at our sales, the adults do outsell the kids side. Night before Christmas is popular. Fortnite's popular both in adults and kids. More kids than adults, actually. People like to dress up and be somebody different for a day, you know.
Well, Simpson says his billing store is tops in sales this year among Spirit Halloween's 1,500 stores in the U.S. and Canada. Still ahead on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, with COVID-19 spiking across Montana, the virus has now hit Governor Bullock's inner circle. We'll have the latest on that. Plus, we'll take a walk on the wild side, meet the newest addition to Zoo Montana. Keep it here.